So after smelling petrol for a day or two in the garage, not a lot I must admit, but just a faint background of petrol, it appears we have a leak, and judging from the streak, wet streak, I think it's coming from the back of the tank where the union comes out of the tank to feed the carburetor. So next stage is just to check that and see how serious a job we have. Okay, it's got to be done, can't leave that at all. Yes, it would seem it's a leak from the union coming out of the pipe, out of the petrol tank rather, which goes obviously to the carburetor, and it's obviously seeping up that union and trailing down the tank and then leaking off to the bottom of the tank, which of course if you look from another direction looks as if you've got a leak from that spot, but we haven't, which is actually good news. It means I don't have to get the tank repaired or replaced. I just need to get some of the petrol out down to the level of that pipe, so I can take it off without petrol gushing everywhere underneath the car, which I'm not really wanting to happen, scrabbling about in the middle of the winter on a cold concrete floor. So I'm going to take some of this petrol out. The tank is actually quite full. I filled it up a few weeks back and didn't really realise how full the tank could become. I just wanted to put a few gallons in, but anyway. So I think the best course of action is to take some of the petrol out. So that's my next job. Naturally disconnected the battery, so there's no live electrics anywhere, and is reasonably safe, providing I don't light a pipe or something of that ridiculous order. Right, okay, let's start. Petrol gauge sender unit is out, and have a pipe into the tank attached to a suction pump siphon, which goes into this jerry can, and hopefully we've now got most of the petrol out, and I can check the union, perhaps replace the pipe, and make everything nice and petrol tight. The pump's very good. It's made by Hilker, and cost about £7, which I think is a bargain for its practicalities. Can be used for oil, can be used as an air pump for pumping up footballs, etc., and obviously can be used for petrol and other liquids. So yeah, at least that part of the job seems to be almost under control now, so we'll just go for the important bit, checking the union coming out of the back of the fuel tank and replacing it, as I say. So yeah, so far so good. So most of the fixings, all of the fixings actually that hold the tank in place to the boot floor have all been removed. As you can see, the filler pipe, which obviously goes from the filler hole into the tank. That's been removed. The breather pipe and its cover has all been removed, so without any further ado, I'm going to take the fuel tank out. So with a sharp tug, I'm going to pull upwards and sideways to get the flexible filler pipe round, because I've only taken one end off, being a bit lazy. We now have the fuel tank taken out of its hole in the boot floor. For those people who have never taken one of these out, it actually rests on the boot floor and is screwed. There's a lip all the way around the boot floor, and there's a flange that the fuel tank rests on, and then with fasteners to stop it sliding about and keep it secure. That's all there is to it, really. So now I'm going to take the tank completely out and inspect it to make sure everything's in good order. So this is the outlet pipe from the back of the fuel tank, which of course is the main suspect for it leaking. As you can see, some of the under seal has come off as it drained in a sort of rivulet of petrol to the bottom of the tank, which gave it the appearance of a hole in the bottom of the tank, but that's not the case. Some corrosion, surface corrosion there, which I'm going to check to make sure there's no pinholes. If there's not, I'm going to take all this under seal off, loose under seal, and actually I think I'll paint it. But yes, the pipe, I just loosely put this on, and you see it's sort of spread and gone brittle. I took this tank out about 7 years ago, cleaned it all up, in particular the inside, to make sure there was no rust, and put it all back, and I put a new flexible filler pipe on, because the other was totally beginning to fall apart. This was the original I replaced some years ago. A complete horror story, worth checking. So yeah, 10% ethanol fuel now. I don't use 10%, I use 5%. But even so, this will now have to be replaced with the current specification of ethanol resistant pipe, which is specification E9, just to be on the safe side, so that the ethanol content doesn't sort of erode it over time, and I'll be back to square one. R9 is the correct specification, not E9. That's the ethanol resistance current spec. So it's all been a good exercise making sure everything's okay for this very, very vital bit of the car from the safety point of view. And obviously I want to reduce the possibility of the car sort of going up in flames. So yeah, while we're taking the tank out, the pipe coming out of the tank looks okay. It's not loose, it's not too badly corroded at its weld at the base, so I think that's okay. As I say, that surface rust will have to be addressed, so yeah, we're getting there. Okay, yeah, so next thing is clean it all up and put it back. Yeah, I've given it a brief clean up, looking a little bit better now. Steel tank, of course, with zinc coated, I guess, protection, and obviously now I have to clean up. I can see there's surface rust, but fortunately that's all it is, surface rust, so that needs to be cleaned up a little, and obviously given some sort of rust protection to make sure it doesn't go any further. And then I'm going to paint it. Yeah, the whole tank was covered in an under seal from new from the factory, so you know, it's done its job. And if that's only a bit of surface rust on the tank after 50 years nearly, yeah, quite happy with that. So yeah, job worth doing. So everything's cleaned up, and a new ethanol resistant hose fitted. Everything's tightened up nice and snug, and really all we've got to do now is put the fuel tank back in the car. So that's the new pipe. And obviously tightened up. So that's one job done. All we have to do now is do all the other connections, and we're just about finished. Clips pop back on the flexible filler pipe to the tank. They're all nice and snug. So see what's next. Flexible filler pipe to the rigid pipe. That's all nice and snug, and that's nice and tight. Got a bit of a gap there. Could do with getting something to replace that, which is getting that rubber that's getting a little bit warm, but perhaps that's for another day. Tighten the screws that hold the filler tank opening in, nice and tight now. So right, I think that's almost there. So one of the last jobs to do to complete the job is actually replace the breather pipe, which is the breather pipe from fuel tank, and its protective metal cover, which protects the flexible rubber hose from any damage of things in the boot. So we'll we'll do that.
These are held with just a couple of self-tapping screws, and as I say, they're just it's just here to protect the small rubber flexible pipe that comes out of the watch the paintwork. So there you are, job complete, I hope. But what else would I be doing on a cold, damp January morning than messing about with Vauxhall Vivas? Oh well, quite enjoy it really. Right, job done. Just need some petrol and in the tank, and everything should be tickety-boo.